What up, y'all? It's Ignacio here with ATF Records. You already know what time it is. Today we are here with, can you tell us your name real quick?
Dreads versus Wild.
Dreads versus Wild. You want to kind of tell the people a little bit about what you're doing?
I'm walking from Kansas City, Missouri to Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay, and what inspired you to take this journey?
Now that's a good question. I felt led to be doing this for about 5 years when I went through my first divorce. And I fought with the Lord because carnal mindset. I got bills to pay. I got child support. I got to get back on my feet. And so I'm like, I can't go camping with you right now, Lord. The Lord says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and its righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. So about 5 years, I'm almost back on my feet after a few more pretty bad decisions. Went through a second divorce and got a woman pregnant out of wedlock. But stripped everything away. I had a travel trailer, I had a car, I had a good job, lost it all, and my first wife and our 5 kids are moving to Scottsdale, Arizona. They've been talking about it for 5 years for the end of this year. But with their full support, and they're following along in the background. And I know that for a fact because I messaged my ex-wife the other day. I was all like, did you see what God did? And she was all like, I don't seen it. And so y'all got to follow along and see what in the world God is doing. But my real name is John, and I'm but a voice crying in the wilderness to prepare the way of the Lord and make his path straight because the grooms are turning. I started out with just this bag right here and my takedown bow, my crossbow, everything I needed to survive and hunt my own food. God has provided everything else that you see here. And I was just set out to make sure that I am in my kids' life. Because we know how kids are, they don't answer their phone. Mm-hmm. So unless you're in at least the same state, and you want to have a relationship with them, you got to be at driving distance.
Right.
Or walking distance if I'm walking right now, so, but you got to be close to them. And so I'm making sure I'm close, and God just feels like fire shut up in my bones. It's been in my heart for over 2 decades serving the Lord.
How long have you been preaching or street preaching or whatever you were doing out there in Kansas City?
So I've been street preaching and doing, the first message I ever preached was out in the courthouse of Hernando County on a Saturday. I was trying to be respectful, not during business hours, and I promoted it for about 3 months before I had the event. I had about 3 pastors out there, and some other people, but 3 different churches came out. And the first message I ever gave, and it was called Awaken. I got to preach that the Sunday before my pastor was out of town, and I did a lighter version. As the church is, so is the nation. And that was back in August 8th of, I'd have to look at my channel. I think 2000, it was when Obama, and it was the election year. Obama was in office, and we didn't know Trump was being elected yet. So whatever year that was. But the first outreach I ever did was 5 years after I gave my life to the Lord, and I carried a cross around my county for 4 days, dressed like Jesus. I wasn't allowed to tell anybody who I was. You can look up a video on YouTube. Type in Jesus Walk Spring Hill, Florida. And you'll find a video, and that's me. I don't know who recorded it.
How long did it take you to get here? How long have you been on your journey?
Today's day 42.
Day 42. Day 42. Okay. So, honestly, that's not as long as I thought it would take. Have you learned anything from your journey? What have you learned from your journey?
Man, my faith and what God's been providing. Like, if I could go back 5 years ago, I'd slap myself upside the head and be all like, you idiot, go camping with the Lord. For an example, right here at this very spot that we're having this interview, over there where I slept last night is a bunch of scriptures wrapped around a bench. scriptures a few weeks ago or a few days ago. I don't know. Time's a little bit off. I don't know what's going on in the world. I don't watch the news. I even stopped watching the Weather Channel because everybody's giving me updates with the weather anyway. They're all like, there's a storm coming. Are you safe? No safer place to be than in the Father's hands. And I've watched storms go around me.
One thing that you wanted to tell people, or one main thing that you wanted people to take away from your journey, or a message that you're trying to send, what would that be?
Love. Because God created us in his own image and likeness. And God is love. And we find it so hard to love. And Jesus, when he was tested by the scribes and the Pharisees, and they asked him, what's the greatest commandment? Jesus' reply was, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and thy mind, and love thy neighbor as thyself. And he said, he didn't stop there. He said, but the greatest of these is love. Paul even tells us that you can hang the law and the prophets all on one word, love. And if we would just love, there wouldn't be all this hurt and pain in the world. And the bride needs to wake up. You've forgotten your first love.
Yeah, man, I think a lot of people really needed to hear that, because I really felt that too. There's not much love in this world, unfortunately, but look where we're at, you know what I mean? We're finding it where we need to be finding it. So
may I share?
God is providing, God is blessing. What do you want to share?
A poem to that question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to answer that in poetry.
Let's do it. You guys didn't know this guy is a poet, and he writes some music too. We might have to bring him to a show. This guy has a message that everybody needs to hear, and everybody needs to try to understand and listen to. Not everybody's going to accept it, and that's okay. But it is something that a lot of people need to look into, and if you're open to it, try to be open to it. You know what I mean?
Before I read this is called The Rock. And before I read this, I pray that y'all listening, that the Lord gives you eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart to understand. What is the rock? The rock is the foundation that carries the very existence for those he loves, being very protective, not to let them see the brokenness of this life's pressures, knowing if he crumbles, it's not just his life in the presence. So even though it may break him, he holds on in anticipation. He shoves it all inside of his rotting vegetation, trying not to give into his mind's meditation. He holds his ground, keeping you out of the current, beating his flesh, layer by layer, till there's nothing left. To be a rock is a lonely call, because there's no one ever there to catch you when you fall. No one there for the wounds that just keep hitting, beating after beating, the current of this raging river called life. But the sadder part is how the very people he cares so much about, they don't see the pain and suffering going on beneath the waters, in their perfect sunshine views on top of his shoulders. They never even bother to show their appreciation for all his burdens, so he endures the seclusions, driven by his passions, ignoring all the slashing and the smashing, the people just laughing while he continues his compassion, praying he can last this. The rock, though going through all this life's prison, will just wish they would listen. You see, the rock looks past his present generation, because if we continue heading towards our current destination, we will find ourselves destroyed, so he has to hold on strong for your protection, for our very existence. All of humanity is the objective. I just wish you would get this. While he is trying to protect you from your own infinite doom, being battered and bruised, wave after wave, shaping and molded until that final day. Now what I'm about to say is the truth that most will Alaska people. If you would just meditate, I would try to impregnate about the wedding feast we're gonna celebrate. You see why this world has been turned upside down. Those holding their ground will be given a golden crown. But when you look around, it won't be streets of golds and mansions to lay. Instead of fiery infirmary, all you hear is screams of torture, never any water to quench your thirst. It will just keep getting worse and worse, but this was your choice, so accept your curse. Now the truth that's gonna really hurt, The Rock, even though it went through all that torture while everyone else got to enjoy this life's pleasures, his sacrifices has earned him an eternity of pleasures. The Rock had a firm foundation, but the people wouldn't listen. The Rock knew his mission. He'd seen the visions, fell in submission. Now please don't miss this. The Rock is not the people in the churches. They are not the president, even though he is worshipped. Not in politics, stocks. The Rock ain't even on the market. The Rock is in fact the one you have hidden in your closet. The lost and forgotten. But God has not forgotten them. They walk in righteousness, not caring about this world's riches. Oh, I just wish you would get this. I'm saying even the witches. Wait, what? The witches? Yeah, the witches. Sorry. Wait, what? The witches? That's ridiculous. But you have rejected the king's invitation. The house is built. It's time for the wedding celebration. There will be people there for this joyous occasion. So the king sent his servants to those who came with no hesitation. Why? Why have everyone left their first love? Why do they choose their life of hatred? I told you to feed the hungry and clothe the poor. You chose to ignore, to take care of the widow, but you did not listen though, to stand up against injustice. But you have done the opposite of this. You have shunned the poor and outcast the homeless, pushing my patience to the very test, rejecting the widow and leaving her all alone. And proudly of yourselves you boast. You have become even worse. You have become masters of deceptions. I see through all your false perceptions. I am the man who created your conception, and since you chose rebellion, you choose your eternal damnation. Poem.
And say that one more time for the people in the back. If y'all didn't catch it, you need to listen to it again, because that was deep, and it had a message, and it had a meaning. And I definitely felt it. So go back and listen to it again. Make sure you got it. One more time. What's your name, and where can everybody find you out and follow your journey?
Dredge vs. Wild is my... I'm on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Same name. There just might be a difference in the capital and whatnot, but God's been awesome pushing everything out as I'm going through these towns. My real name is John, and I'm but a voice crying in the wilderness. Prepare the way of the Lord. The groom's coming.
Go follow him, man. Go follow the journey. He's doing a good thing out here, and it attracted me to him, so what can it hurt? I mean, ATF Records, let's go.
Yeah, check this out. All right, I'm gonna spin y'all around. He's getting, look, man, look at God. Y'all gonna make me cry. I'm an emotional man. He's breaking out his Whoa.
Oh yeah,
he is professional.
When I say he's my cameraman, he is my cameraman.